That's how you get into a Land Rover Discovery Sport. Hey there guys, Todd here from Ride Hacks. Welcome to another video. Now if you're part of the Ride Hacks community, you'll appreciate that different cars deliver different driving experiences. All cars are different. Some cars are worth going and renting out and simply handing back when you're done, where others are worth strategically pursuing so that you can put it in your garage. And that's the question I'm going to answer today. Should the Land Rover Discovery Sport be one of those cars that you seek out to put in your garage, and should you go and book a test drive now? Let's go find out. Hey guys, just received a phone call from Right to Drive letting me know that they have given me a car for the weekend. So I'm gonna jump on city buses and city trains and go and pick that up now. Let's see how it goes, and I'll see you soon. Introduced in 2015, the Land Rover Discovery Sport replaces the outgoing Freelander and inherits some of the styling from its big brother, the Range Rover Sport. But don't be mistaken, this is definitely not a Range Rover. Apart from costing 100 grand less, mostly due to not paying a penny of luxury car tax, this SUV is very much a Land Rover, without the get the hell out of my way attitude. The folks at Land Rover didn't design the Discovery Sport as a luxury car, nor did they design it as an off-road machine, like the Defender. No, the Discovery Sport is about leisure and practicality. Even Land Rover themselves called the interior premium, not precious. Unlike the myriad of trim levels in the Range Rover series, the Discovery Sport comes with only 3 trim levels: SE, which I had, HSE, and HSE Luxury. Despite carrying a diesel engine 20% larger than the Range Rover Evoque, performance data is relatively similar. However, the extra 100 kilos will definitely be noticed. Land Rover is proud of its new efficient Ingenium petrol engine in the base SE model. However, anyone who thinks a petrol engine is well matched for an SUV likely hates the smell of diesel. A 5-litre V8 in the Range Rover? I can understand. A 2-litre in the Discovery Sport really makes no sense to me. Expect the usual Land Rover technologies, all with 3-letter acronyms: DSC, ETC, EDC, and so on. But the key question is, who is this car really for? When I originally got this car, I was a little bit worried that I was getting the base spec of essentially not a Range Rover. And you know, that's the thing, right, is that if you want a Range Rover, you probably shouldn't get the Land Rover Discovery Sport. Now, there may be some similarities in terms of the shape, but there's a lot of subtle things that, you know, it's just not gonna pack a punch for what you're looking for. Let me talk about the things I love and hate about the Land Rover Discovery Sport. If you have read any of my reviews over on Ride Hacks, or you have seen my other YouTube videos, which there are a few, they're growing, but there's a few, you will note that music and seats are the consistent thing that either make me love or hate any car that I'm in. And let me elaborate a little further. Seats that are really uncomfortable will ruin the best car. Now I can tell you that the Audi Q7 has the worst seats I've ever sat in, and it also has a spectacular engine. It's a 3-litre engine that produces 600 Newton meters of torque and 200 kilowatts. This one, by contrast, is 400 Newton meters of torque and I think about 120 kilowatts. So it's really underpowered compared to the Audi Q7. But the seats in the Q7 were so bad that I can hardly remember any good thing about that car. It really will ruin a driving experience. And I'm only driving it for a few days, but if you're driving this car daily, or you were driving it for a long period of time, like Sydney to Melbourne, or Melbourne to Adelaide, Brisbane to Sydney, you will really, well, I won't say you hate your car, because it's it's a different thing from me hiring a car from someone who buys a car, but you will get frustrated with not so good seats. Personally, I would upgrade the seats on any car. I look at the standard base seats for any car, and generally they're not good. And they've done that intention. They've done this so that you do upgrade the seats. But putting that aside, it is the #1 hack on how to make your car outstanding. I got in here and I have a pretty high standard for what I think a sound system should be. And first of all, I thought, nah, it's not really up to scratch. But then over time, it grew on me. It becomes something that I kind of wanted to listen to music on. I wanted to feel the dynamic range that the sound system had to offer. And this is a bass system, which is, surprising. Now let's talk about the different types. You have the stock standard Land Rover sound system. 8 speakers or something, no subwoofer. It's kind of, it's fine, it's good. You have the upgraded Land Rover sound system. Adds a subwoofer, and I think there's 2 extra speakers. I haven't heard that, but I would imagine it's a bit better. Then you have the Meridian sound system, which you can spec on. I think it's a couple of $1,000, but it is, I think it's like a 3D surround, I don't know, whatever. Very cool. That, I would definitely go for that, because I know the quality of those systems is outstanding and will turn any boring road trip into one that you can just appreciate music. So yeah, definitely I would do that. So let's talk about room in the back. I'm not a huge guy. I'm about a bit under 6 foot, about 5'11", so like 185 centimeters, I don't know. But in the back here, there is surprisingly a lot of room. Now, this is the optional 2, 3, 2 seats. I think that's what they call it. But what we do have is this left seat here, and the middle seat are on one set of rails, and then you have the right seat on another set of rails. Now, when I say rails, what I mean is that you can move this right forward. Now, that's pretty uncomfortable when it's a bit far forward. I mean, for a kid, that's probably going to be fine. To put a baby seat here and to actually be able to turn around and to tend to your baby is actually pretty good if you move this forward. But for adults, you probably want to move it back. The plus side is, though, that when you bring it all forward, there's a lot more room in the back. So we'll bring the seats down in a moment. But for me, I probably have just as much room here as I would in the front seat, which is pretty cool. On this side, it's the same. Grab that, bring it forward, and yeah, my knees are up against the back of the seat, and that's set in my position at the front. So about a 6 foot, bit under 6 foot person. Now if we bring that back, yeah, huge amount of room. I could sit here for 6 hours. Seats probably could be more comfortable, but in terms of leg room and just being able to stretch, for blokes being able to just kind of spread your legs and not be banging against someone, that's pretty good. Let's bring these seats down. There's a cool little trick in the back. So let's open the boot. We'll have a look. There's a button here, or 2 buttons here that we can just pull and bring that down. Now in the back here we have a lot of space, but more importantly, if you need it, you got 2 small seats, 2 cup holders as well. Now you're probably not going to fit an adult here, but well, let's find out. Okay, maybe not. I mean, if you need to, if you really have to pick up a few extra people, yeah, you could probably do this for like an hour and then you'd be dead. This isn't so comfortable, but you know what? If you have small kids or you just need the extra room, yeah, this is going to work. Let's bring it forward. What is really cool is in the back, we've got USB chargers, 5-volt USB chargers for phones, headphones, whatever you need. 1, 2, 3, which is pretty awesome. Then down the back here, you've got another 2. This car is kitted with
USB chargers. That is so awesome.
The 8-inch in-control touch media entertainment system is quite pleasant to work with. Although intuitive, navigation is a slow process to set up, yet sufficiently detailed when you are driving. Whilst it's not as good as the Audi Q7, it serves its purpose for a sub $100,000 SUV. When you're driving in a place where it's kind of like winter, it's gloomy, it's kind of rainy, there's clouds around, having the panoramic roof really lightens up the car, and it gives you that sense of natural light that you kind of really need when you're in the middle of winter. So that's really awesome. I would spec that if I was buying this car. But really, for an SUV, I kind of go one of two ways. I prefer that an SUV is centered on the road. It has a road presence where when people see you, they know you're there. A Range Rover has that. When you're driving a Range Rover, people see where you are. Now, you may get abuse from certain people and you may get admiration from others, but no one's going to ignore you. You're not going to blend in. And I like that. With this car, you are going to blend in because it doesn't overly look like an expensive car. It doesn't overly look like a car that is sort of really fast. It just looks like a nice SUV, and that's it. It's a nice SUV. But then you look at the other types of SUVs where you have the sporty kind. You have the Porsche Cayenne or the Macan. You got the Audi SQ5. Mercedes-Benz don't really have anything sort of in the sporty range, but you look at those ones and they have a different sort of presence. I personally would probably go for the Cayenne or the Macan. I feel like they have that driving spirit that although you're hurling around a big car, you can really enjoy it as a single driver. And I found that with the Land Rover Discovery Sport, this is not really a car that you can enjoy as a single driver. I mean, to be honest, this is what most people buy an SUV for. This is a family car that can do a little bit of off-road. The technology helps it out, but suspension-wise and everything else, not really an off-road car. And you know, it's just going to be a great car to drive around and go on road trips with. You can fit adults in it, you can fit children in it, you can fit 7 people, the rear 2 people probably being small children because it's really small. And yeah, you'll go down the snow and you'll have some fun, or you go out in the bush and have some fun. You're not going to have the road presence like a Range Rover, you're not going to have the driving experience like a Porsche, but overall it's going to be a car that you probably won't regret buying. Now for me, that's not enough. That's not enough for making me, or it's not enough incentive for me to buy this car. It's nice, it drives well, it's not over the top, but it's just not enough of a statement about driving that has me excited and has me wanting to jump in and drive it more. Alright guys, so I'm just finishing the review now. Thank you very much for coming along for a drive and checking out the Land Rover Discovery Sport. If you liked the video, please subscribe. Any comments, jump over to Twitter, tweet me there. It's much easier for me to manage all comments across everything on Twitter. It's also more fun than YouTube. And yeah, let me know what you think of this video and what you would like to see more of, other cars you'd like to see me review, and anything else you have to share. So yeah, thanks guys, see you later.